Thank you so much, Deanna and Colin, for having me here today. It is such an honor. I'm going to read a few poems from the book and some newer stuff. And let's just get right to it. First poem I will read is called Neural Cascade, a Chandelier of Forest Bones. Maybe I do know you. Extensive avenue of faux moss, vault of photochemicals appended on the civic leash, mesh of resin, a conduit of skulls suspended by reason. A jawline fracture throttling canticles in cedar, doubtful oxide sweating it out in the pineal apartment of our common water. This forehead a portent for dendrites, brain treaty of sap, black sap, deep sea atoms, irrevocable, leaking what we can barely recall. A pine marten sacrum hanging its bowl of quiet from a birch, to recognize the night inverted as an eye is improvable. What is the best of these to be believed? Had you arrived wearing my face in a hail shower, the heavens might have anchored my bad shoulder to the floorboards with adrenaline, a hair gone to rut in the reverb of precognition. Let me live. Standard time. In our woods, hemodynamic snow, a terrarium of lung-fed porosity, tucked inside a small body of rusted air. Our throats flecked with pyrite and broken glass. Swift foxes, insulin pumps, pink cyclical rivers know the jet stream to be a sanguine, melancholic in these days of warming. Dark stars for lease in the divisible world. At all hours culling a distemper of infinity. Our screen test could be anesthetic, lest my mother speak of the man who held a gun to her head for an evening. In everything now, a gelatinous spill of best practice. Could our late mouths ever know such a green word as vertigo, vertigo, the rush of the vertical? It's ours. Lookbook. Over there on the green lawn under a sick pine is the body of the bird, his plumage blue when I go to look at him and wonder if he's dead. But his chest sort of heaves, so I bend down closer. Look how the breast of the bird splits open, and a fist of maggots spills out on the grass, a necklace of sticky pearls and peristalsis ribbed and shining in the July light. Invertebrates that form an anecdote before I go back into our clapboard house to look at the Sears catalog and dream I am a girl posed into happiness. Look at me here now in this new dress I bought with my own money at age 20. In the city when the cops question me, I flash my passport thinking of lichen inching down a branch of the tree over the town river when I was small, and somewhere my birth father is drunk and homeless, half mad when the cops ask for his name. He'll say December. This next poem I'm going to read, the last from the book. I haven't attempted reading it in this format before. There are two columns, so I'm going to just kind of try alternating one after the other. And I want to read this poem in honor of James Douglas Wesley, who is an elder of the Brunswick House First Nations Reserve in my hometown. And he is the gentleman that I reference in this poem. Watershed and Shield Reminiscence. Amid moonscape tailings, cognition drained its basin. When brother was born on land black from the mine. All ventricles sap and terminate, a girlish toss of stones into water, green from copper. Welfare, sulfur, apartment. limbs angled and familial as industry, these days without antidote, tumbling into silt. Dead and still the water, great-grandfather worked the old trap lines. Sleek as a gray lip, this cadaver lake, ground seepage of acids, hydrochloric, said the railroad, into a highway with horses, using dynamite to clear the shield a glacier had worn, came after the caribou or smoke to crack the sky open, this caustic history of moisture. A nest for the river, his horse fell down its bank into a shattered femur. Before the caribou, metabolic alleys diverged into currents and embryos, cracked the sky into a filter of words, mutagenic. Nothing for the horse but the dynamite, placed it lit within its mouth, empathic demolition, lux, sucrose, norepinephrine. Below the soul, blinking traffic light in the center of town. An elder diabetic amputee from the farthest reserve placed his last hand on my brow, called upon Gitchemanitu to secure my exit from poverty. Whether our engine of the possible, as this atomic history of silt into the watershed, this lift of waves recurrent from this shed, all water flows north, in a memory of sleep where I am four, in falling through each level of a house. There are four corners, piles of clothes, carpets of old smoke, a staircase, mummified, placenta, brittle, slightly flaking, a soft drift to when the cement floor signals awakening. So that is it for the book. And I'll read a poem that was inspired by reading the American experimental writer Kathy Ecker, and also doing research on the First Nations residential schools that operated in my hometown and where many children died. This is called a Sentimental Education. I crawl across this corridor, and with my sapiens jaw, I displace matter in the form of voice. The emergency lights dimmed to consecrate a semi-inhabitable structure of draft and wooden beams, my historical skin lozenged. When I bring my face up to the wan night, I mouth a name that has never known, paradise. Paradise is my irises, reflect those wavelengths that give them color. I trace an eye drop of resolution across the back of your leg in ash, with my tongue that has wagged so many days, a good servant of the colony that's shown me a God's love and proper education. A column extended from the top of my head into heaven when I arrived at the school. Via the intuition, my blood had been there before. My veins spent coal picking flies from porridge. The girls sold milk door to door, and the boys any firewood collected from the school grounds that would one day find them buried. I was both a girl and a boy, of milk and of wood. In every case, my hair was taken, and I forgot how to move my tongue, to ask for a hall pass into the future interior. They won't give me a tin marker, only native moss once I'm gone. In this porous ground, every residue attends my own ascension. I won't remain here, but I'll hold the sense of you to my chest as a crucifix gnawed from cedar. So I'm going to read two more. This next poem is about my birth father who passed away last year. This is just like so much fun we're all having right now. I'm sorry. I'm a downer. Can't help it. Are you guys familiar with Knausgaard, the Norwegian writer? He wrote a series of books, which are sort of confessional novels or memoirs. And his first book was about, in part, dealing with the death of his father, who was an alcoholic. So this poem is called Knausgaard, Nova Scotia. I just walked the street of my father. The street is called North. I paused in front of his white apartment building as the sun fed me from the west. There were 2 shopping carts chained together, one from the liquor store. My father turned empty bottles into full ones, into food and into rent. He pushed his cart across the city, gathering emptiness. North is the repository of our best intentions. Ursa Major, overhead, when I am exactly this old, in a winter, without fathers. He left when I was an infant, to take on liquid. He took himself away. A cosmic stone cast into this ancestral wind I cannot afford. The Pleiades still know me, 7 sisters who know me to be as bold as a conjectured fjord. As I write this, in a Tim Hortons, a man next to me asks, "What does this word mean?" pointing to a spot on the page of a Maclean's where the word rapport appears. My father's skin had yellow, and the sclerae of his eyes, half open but clouded by sedation. A tear slid from the corner of his right eye to pass the bone of his indigenous cheek. This tear had not yet dried when they began to withdraw life support, machine by machine. The breathing machine that jerked his head back and expanded his chest with decreasing regularity was the last to be withdrawn. A nurse said, "He is in the process of actively dying now." Actively dying. In the ancient Near East, a seer would look to the stars or the livers of sheep for divination. What does a liver show or hold? Spurinna, the Haruspecs, foresaw the death of Caesar in the entrails of his sacrifice. Pagok, the cursed Anishinaabe skeleton who flies through the boreal forest, is said to consume the livers of his victims. Prometheus's punishment for stealing fire from the gods was to be chained to a rock and have his liver torn out daily by an eagle. Every night his liver would regenerate. 2 days have now passed. 2 days I have been in Halifax. 2 days since my father has passed. He has passed from mystery into appearance, laying bare his totality on a deathbed, distended cirrhotic belly, and ethereally beautiful face. He passed from unknowing into eternity. As I watch the neon lines above him lay flat, I am still watching. I still do not know what I know. A nor'easter now passing over me, spilling its moisture from the Atlantic, heavy rain that by midnight may turn to snow. What does it mean to actively die? Actively. At this time, Knausgaard is very much with me. Quote, "For the heart, life is simple. It beats for as long as it can, then it stops." Unquote. Full stop as in a period is a flat line extended. I have been given my father's papers, his Polaroids, and a pocket watch that belonged to my great-grandfather. I have been given his ball cap that kept the maritime sun out of his eyes as he scavenged for bottles. The band of this hat has collected his scent, which is lemongrass, earth, and discount smoke. I have been given his small tools, cologne, nail clippers, a water canister, a small plastic box of razors, a picture of me as a baby, a drawing of electrical currents, a knife. I'm here wedged within 3 nor'easters. The first fell after he died. The jaundice, the eyes that are mine, the snow a whiteout of every street. The third will come Tuesday and cover Halifax in a foot of lace. Today I bought Ocean by Sue Goyette, a black dress and a pair of tights. Today I ate berries and drank black coffee. Today I felt the harbor folding in. A sphere flinched in my portal vein. Today I woke up late. This evening I looked up at the constellation Orion. Tomorrow I will see my father's body for the last time. Tuesday he will become ash, actively. Thank you. Thank you. And I have a brand new poem that I wrote last night. And why not read it? Why not? The tentative title is A Late Poem. Beauty is my irreparable, and today I became geometric. A crude figure that constitutes a skip trace of first principles. Even Euclid knows my curious stupidity and ardent heart. Rows of lavender circuits, all porous, surround me. I feigned this introduction into maturity as a logical fallacy. With my malignant herbs at the ready, I decried equivocating a rancid night of indifference for an honest mistake. Now I'm bending at an angle that signals my relationship to time. That comely menace, with hair veiling my face as in a scene of possession. You've got your good things, and I've got the night to decide what I'll feel bad about come morning. Come morning with its gray and cranes, fence of steam. I want this to be believable. Come morning where I am always late, in a ditch, picking colored bits of glass out of my shins. Come polygon, and I circumvent the disaster. Do not disturb my circles. Holy I went, holy all around my head, the holy went careening down the back stairs of this low-rise rental. It was only yesterday that I was called upon to sign my name on the other side of the sky. Mercy my virtue, and horror my greatest stride. It evokes for me simply everything. Galen speaks of the heat of the heart, the formation of birds. Klein said all birds must be eliminated. That I would eliminate my own heart, its irreparable beauty, however negligible. That I could almost taste spring in the rain that foments soil bacteria, and I am mostly composed of other living things. Everything within its discrete moment. We continue. Thank you so much.